You can start at the top of your mat, standing in Samastitihi, proud chest, strong legs, nice and rooted into your mat. Start to bring some awareness into your breath, and remember to flow throughout this practice with your own breath. Ball of your big toe is grounded into the mat. We'll begin. So on your inhale, raise your arms up above your head. Gaze towards the fingertips. Exhale, fold over strong legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, plant your hands and step back into a plank. Strong core, lower down through your version of chaturanga, opening up for upward facing dog, and then tuck the toes for downward facing dog. You can pedal out the legs here, taking some intentional breaths here. Slow the breathing, feel into the body, and take some subtle adjustments as you need before you find some stillness. Energy is pressing down through the palm of your hand, your thumb, and your index finger. Strength and length through the arms and the spine. Hips rise, and the heels are energetically drawing towards the ground. Breathing nice and deep here. Lower belly is engaged. Walk up to the front of your mat, lengthen your spine, and then exhale to fold over your legs before you rise back up, arms to follow above your head, and meet back in Samastitihi. Again, inhale, raise the arms up, and exhale, fold over your legs. Hands plant on shins of the ground as you lengthen your spine long, and then plant the hands and jump or step back into a low push-up, or come down to your Sphinx, or option for upward facing dog before you tuck the toes and press through to downward facing dog. Be here for 3 to 8 breaths depending on your pace. So take the first few breaths each time that we meet here to lengthen your breath out. Find your strong, steady, comfortable posture, and then melt into some stillness. Make sure to bring awareness into the legs. Make sure there's strength there, but you're not hyperextending and pressing back through the knees. On your inhale, jump or step between your hands to lengthen your spine, and then exhale as you fold. Inhale to rise up, gaze towards the thumb, and then bring the hands through heart center, meeting back at your sides. Flowing again, arms rise up. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, spine long, neck in line. Plant the hands, walk, jump, or step back to your plank and move through your chaturanga. Inhaling, collarbones broad in your up dog, and exhaling through your downward facing dog. Lower belly is engaged, drawing the pelvic floor up, or contracting the anus for males. Breathing nice and deep and long. Roll the eyes of the elbows out so that you find space between your shoulders. Neck is relaxed. Gaze towards the navel. One more breath here. On your next inhale, walk, step, or jump back between your hands. Lengthen your spine, and then fold over your legs once more. Inhale, strong legs, rise up, and bring your hands through. Rising up again on your inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, walk, step, or jump, moving through your chaturanga. Pressing through the arms as you open your chest broad, and then exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Heels do not need to touch here, just drawing them towards the ground, but meet yourself wherever you're at today. Always allow room for modifications. Know that you can always take a child's pose or come into a tabletop or just come back to a downward facing dog if this is a nice restful posture for you. Fingers are spread, engagement throughout the whole body, and then finding some ease through the posture. Gaze towards your fingers. Maybe play with jumping forward this time. Lengthen your spine and then fold over your legs before rooting to rise up. Meeting back in Samastitihi. Final Surya Namaskara A, gaze towards the fingers, we rise up and then fold over the legs. Plant the hands to lengthen the spine long and then step, walk, or jump through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, neck is broad. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog for 5 or so breaths. If you know what breath with sound is, you can start to engage that. You're constricting with your throat so that there's a hollowing of the back of the throat. Almost sounds like waves of an ocean. This can help to build heat throughout your practice. One more breath. Notice what your drishti is doing. Make sure you have a nice gaze in one steady point as you come forward and exhale over your legs. Inhale to rise up, gaze towards the fingers, and exhale to Samastitihi. Lower the hips and bend down into a fierce pose, moving into our first Surya Namaskara B. Fold over the legs, then lengthen the spine, and then plant the hands to step back through a chaturanga. Strong legs, strong arms, we rise up and then press back. Right away, bring your right foot forward, coming into Virabhadrasana A, and then plant the hands, step back, and flow through your upward facing dog, pressing back into downward facing dog. Left leg comes forward, nice 90-degree bend in that leg to rise up, and then bring the hands back down to the mat, step back, and flow. Inhale as you rise, and exhale, tuck the toes, press the hips back, lengthen the spine. Staying here again for another 3 to 8 breaths. Nice, steady, comfortable posture. Engaging Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, pelvic floor, lower belly. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the neck and the face. See what you can notice in the subtle body. All the little muscles engaging here to hold you up in this posture. Bend your legs, look towards your hands, and walk or step up to the front of the mat to lengthen your spine, and then fold over your legs. Rise back up, keeping the legs bent for fierce pose, And then stand at the top of your mat in Samastitihi. 2 more of those. Bend into the legs, arms come above your heart. Exhale, hands plant on shins or the ground to lengthen the spine long, and then plant the hands to step back. Move through your flow. On your inhale, rise up through upward facing dog, and then press back, downward facing dog. Right away, the right foot comes forward as you rise up into your warrior one, and then plant the hands, cycle back through, moving to the other side. On your inhale, step up with your left leg, back foot in at a 45-degree angle. Find length as you rise up, and then bring the hands back down to flow again. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, press into your downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Shoulder blades are broad here. Standing about an equilateral triangle distance away, so it might be really challenging if you're a little bit too broad. So notice the distance between your hands and your feet and adjust that as you need. Always an option to pause the video, take a breath or two, and come back to it. Inhale, jump back between your hands, lengthen your spine, fold over your legs, and then bend into your knees as you rise up for fierce pose, and then come through Samastitihi. Last one here, bending into the legs, drop the hips. Exhale, fold over the legs, plant your hands, lengthen the spine, neck is in line, and then jump or step back through your chaturanga. Legs are strong as you move through your upward facing dog and then downward facing dog. Step the right leg right away in front of you to come through warrior one. Plant the hands, flow, or if it's a little bit too fast, you can just go right to the other side. Always an option to skip the vinyasa. Left leg comes forward, rise up, squaring the hips. And then plant the hands, step back, lower down, and then open the chest broad before you press back into your steady Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Breathing nice and deep, taking these opportunities in down dog to lengthen the exhales. Slow the breath, slow the mind. Maybe see if you can bring a smile to your face. Alrighty. Jump back up between your hands, lengthen the spine, fold over, and then once more drop down, hips lower, coming into Utkatasana, and then standing in Samastitihi. Move on to Padangustasana, so jump or step your feet hip distance apart, find length in your spine, and then fold over your legs. Wherever your hands land, if they are on your shins or if they can come down, peace fingers around big toes. No judgment here. Working with your body today. We don't want to force anything in this posture. You can bend the knees to help lengthen them, lengthen the legs. Shoulders are relaxed here. Throat and neck is open and relaxed. Another breath or two here. And then when you're ready to move to Padahastasana, you're going to halfway lift, lengthen the spine, and then bring your palms underneath your feet facing up to step onto your hands. Weight is in the whole foot. You're pressing down through your feet to lift the sit bones. If this is a lot in your hamstrings, just add a little bit of a bend to your knees, no problem. Be kind to yourself through your actions and through your thoughts. You can untuck your hands, lengthen the spine out, hands on the hips, rise up, and then step the feet together. Step your right foot, in the video we've done it the opposite way, but right foot towards the back of the mat. We're coming into Utthita Trikonasana A. So triangle pose. Back foot is in at a 45-degree angle. Front leg is nice and straight, and you're bringing your front hand towards your shin, or again, peace fingers around the big toe. Opening up to, if your right foot's forward, the right side. Lengthening the top arm up towards the sky and drawing the hips back so that they're in line. On your inhale, rise up, pivot your feet. This time, left foot forward, left arm draws forward as the right hip comes back. Find the big toe or the shin and then open up to the side. Notice if you've lost the outside edge of the back foot, try and ground it. Lower belly, core is strong here. Finding some extension in the upper back. On your inhale, rise up, pivot to the back of your mat again, so the right foot is forward, and then moving into Utthita Trikonasana B, or Parivrtta Trikonasana, so revolve triangle. The opposite hand of your front leg is coming across that front foot, planting on the ground or your shin. Hips are even here, and you're gonna extend open to the other side so that your body is in a twist. The stance can be slightly shorter here. On your inhale, rise up, pivot to the front of the mat, back foot in at a 45-degree angle or so, reach the left arm forward, and then extend over that front leg to plant the hand on the outside edge of the front foot, opening up to the side. Twisting in the spine, extending through the upper back. Legs are strong here. Gaze is soft and steady. See if you can find some space between your shoulder blades. And then inhale, rise up. Turn to the side and then step back to Samasthiti at the top of your mat. Right foot will come to the back of the mat, moving into extended side angle here. So the right leg bends at a 90-degree angle, left foot in parallel to 45. You want a nice line of energy from your back foot all the way out through your top fingertips. Careful not to collapse into the chest here. Make sure there's space in the rib cage and in that right side body. Inhale, rise up, pivot your feet, left foot comes forward, right leg is in parallel. Plant the left arm down onto the ground and then right arm overhead. Gaze can be towards the fingertips or straight out in front of you if that feels better on the neck. Legs are in warrior two type stance here. Inhale, rise up. Again, facing the back of the mat. If you'd like to drop the knee down to find your Parvrita Parshvakonasana, revolved extended side angle. You can lower the back leg as you twist your front arm over onto the outside edge of the front foot. And then once you've found that twist, then you can open up the arm to the front. If it doesn't feel good to open up, you can just keep your hands in prayer. Always an option to keep the back knee on the mat. Then inhale, rise up, pivot so you're facing the front. Twist and place the right arm down on the mat, left arm comes overhead. Trying to square the pelvis here, rotating through the spine. Most important, make sure that your breath is nice and long and deep. Don't compromise your breath for the posture. One more breath here. Full extension. And then inhale, release the posture, rise up, turn to the side, and then meet back in Samastitihi. Step your foot back out to the side. We're moving into Prasarita Padottanasana. So legs are apart enough so that you can fold forward over your legs and your head is nearing the ground but not touching. Might need to play with the stance a little bit here, distance varies. Just allow for some spinal extension and then fold over your legs. The toes are slightly in, big toe is grounded. Hands can come in between your legs onto the mat. And release your neck here. On your next inhale, hands to hips, rise halfway up, and then strengthen the abdominals as you rise up. Bring your arms to a T, and then hands to hips before you fold back over strong legs. Again, make sure there's no hyperextension here. So strong legs with a soft bend in the knee. This time in B, we're going to keep our hands on our hips as best we're able. Drawing the elbows towards each other. Shoulders are relaxed. Gaze here is to the nose or navel. On your inhale, rise all the way up. Arms come back out to a T. And then clasp your hands behind your back, moving into C. So find some length and broad chest. And then fold over your legs. Your arms can come above your head, coming back towards the ground behind your head. Back is flat and lengthened here. Keep breathing into those legs. They might be starting to shake or burn a little bit. Just breathe into that sensation. If you need to find a little bit of movement, you can, but always try and come back to that stillness. On your inhale, rise up. Arms come back to a T. And last one, D. You fold over, and this time grabbing onto either your shins, or if it's available, you can grab your big toes with your peace fingers and then fold over your legs. You don't need to pull on your legs with your arms here. Arms can come out to the side. If you are getting any tension in the neck, maybe shake it yes or no. Notice if you're holding any tension in your jaw, and just try and release your palate here. This is the last Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. On your inhale, hands to your hips, halfway lift, and then rise up before coming back to Samastitihi, mountain pose at the top of your mat. Inhale your arms back to a T and find prayer pose or fist together behind your back, or you can reach for opposite elbow behind your back. Turn to the back of the mat and fold over your front leg. So the distance here is quite a bit shorter than any of the postures yet. This is Parsvottanasana. Pelvis here is square and level as best you can. You can have a slight bend in that front or back leg if you need. Trying to work them towards as straight as possible without hyperextension. Coming back to the breath. On your inhale, rise up, pivot your feet, facing towards the front of the mat. Keep the hands where they are, find length in your spine, and then fold over the front leg. Nose is coming towards that front shin. Feet are train tracked just a little bit, so they're not just one behind the other, but you don't want too wide of a stance either. Back foot is 30 to 80 degrees out. Inhale, rise up, turn to the side, come back to Samastitihi. Take a breath before moving into Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. So raise your right leg up, grab onto the ball of the big toe with the peace fingers, or if you just want to grab the knee, you can do that and avoid extending your leg long. Make sure your standing leg is nice and strong, avoiding hyperextension. Draw the navel in and bring that right shoulder back in line with the left. Bring the leg over to the right side, and if it's available, you can bring your gaze over the left shoulder. Nice and strong through both legs. Finding stability here. It's okay if you fall over, just come back into it. Find a little bit of humor in your practice. We're all human. Bring your leg back to center, fold over the leg, and then release that lifted leg, bringing your hands to your hips, and hold it up as high as you can. Breathe into the sensation here. Work for it. Even if it's just a foot or maybe an inch off the ground, that's great. And then exhale, release, shake out the legs. Moving to the left side, draw the leg up, grab onto either the knee, the shin, or the toe. As you lengthen the leg out, notice if your hip is drawing forward. Bring it back in line. Bring that left shoulder back in line with the right. And soften the face and the forehead. Heart is lifting. On your next breath in, draw the leg out to the side. So left leg's coming out to the left, gaze can come over the right shoulder. Pressing through that lifted heel. Standing leg is strong and rooted. It's really helpful in balance postures to move nice and slowly, so give yourself that time. Inhale, come back to center, lift the leg nice and high, fold over it, and then hands to your hips. Hold that left leg high, strength and length. See if you can lift it a tiny bit higher. Keep your chest broad. One more breath. You can do it. When you're ready, bring the leg back down, shake the legs out. Moving into Ardha Baddha Padmottanasana. So right leg comes out, either coming into a standing figure 4 or standing half lotus. You can bring your right arm behind your back to bind that foot. Left arm will come and plant onto the mat next to your left foot and then fold over the leg. Heart is lifting. Hips are square here. The knee in lotus faces down towards the ground. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Stay for a moment and then rise up at your own pace. Release the leg and then find some rooting in the right standing leg as you lift the left leg up. Again, figure 4 or Ardha Baddha. So draw the left heel right into your groin, knee towards the ground, hugging it in, and then fold over that leg. Please take the options that work for your body today. So don't expect yourself to be able to do something you did yesterday or last week. Really listen. This practice should be medicine for you. Work towards squaring the hips here and coming back to the breath. Coming out slowly on your next breath. If you get a little dizzy here, we can compress the femoral artery, so just give yourself a moment to let that subside before you move on. You can always rewind the video, take a pause, whatever you need. When you're ready, inhale, arms rise up, and then exhale, fold over your legs. Before you inhale to lengthen your spine and then step back, moving through a vinyasa. So lowering down through your chaturanga, coming and meeting in downward facing dog before you jump or step up, right away moving into Utkatasana, fierce pose. So the hips drop. Make sure that you're not flaring the ribs. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears, and the neck is broad. Check in and notice if you have any posterior tilt here. Tailbone should be heavy towards the ground. Legs are nice and strong, and notice what your face is doing. Exhale, fold over your legs, lengthen the spine long, and then enjoy the vinyasa as you jump or step back, moving through upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, press back to downward facing dog, and then step forward with the right foot, Virabhadrasana A. So the pelvis is square, your pelvis does not need to be square. Your ribs should be square to the front of your mat. Front thighs at a 90-degree angle. Make sure the knee is not past the toe and your arms rise above your head. Turn towards the back of the mat. This time the right leg is in the back, toes are pointed 45-degree angle in, left leg bends in a 90-degree angle. Obliques are working here to help us square the front body, drawing the navel in. And breathe. On your next breath, move into Virabhadrasana B, Warrior 2. So now the hips and the shoulders are opening up to the side. You're going to extend your arms away from each other, gaze towards the front fingertips. Back foot is grounded, and the inner leg is lifting. Inhale, lengthen the leg, and then pivot as you bend into the front right knee. Back leg is long. Draw the energy of your upper body back so that it's right over your hips. Check in with that front knee. If it's falling in, just draw it out towards the side. That right glute is working. Got quite the expression in this video. Make your face nice and soft here, and then spiral your arms down to move through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to attempt to jump through or just step through, coming to sit on our bum, legs extended out in front of us for Dandasana, staff pose. So this is an active posture. You want your abdominals engaged, your shoulders relaxed, your heels and legs pressing into the mat. Pubic bone to the ground. Keeping the length, fold forward with your heart, and then find your hands on your shins, or maybe toes are wrapped with the peace fingers, moving into Paschimottanasana. So notice if you're rounding your back a lot, try and find length in the spine. Always an option to bend the knees, roll the mat, sit on a cushion. Inhale, lengthen your spine and find a little bit deeper of a variation if it's available. Maybe wrap the hands around the feet. Uddiyana zone, drawing back. Just observe if you have the tendency to release the strength in the legs. Make sure they're nice and strong. Another couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, rise up, plant your hands, and step back or flow back, moving through a chaturanga. Always the option to skip, meaning back on our bums, legs out in front of us for Purvottanasana. So your arms will come behind you, fingers pointing towards your feet, and press your hips up. If you'd prefer tabletop, that's a great option as well. Lifting your hips nice and high, legs strong. If it feels safe, you can drop your head back. Just avoid looking around if you're doing that in this posture. Release the posture, plant your hands, step back, and flow through your vinyasa. Pressing down through downward facing dog, and then jumping or stepping back through to a seat. Draw your right leg in, coming into Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana. So seated half lotus, or if it feels safer on your knee or your hip, you can come into a seated figure four. Externally rotate the foot and the hip to move into your lotus safely here. And don't rush this pose. It's a really deep hip opener, so really listen to what your body is asking for today. Make sure that straight leg is nice and strong and internally rotated so that your pelvis is square. Inhale, lift your gaze, and then plant your hands to jump or step back. Move through your vinyasa. Make sure you have some length in your low back as you move through your upward facing dog, And then press back for your downward facing dog and jump back through. This time the left leg folds in, coming into half lotus or figure four on the other side. Find length in your spine before you fold over. If you'd like to take the bind, you can bring your left arm around your back and maybe find that big toe. Lots of options here, lots of variations. Breathe nice and deep. Inhale, halfway lift, gaze up, and then rise up. Plant your hands, walk, step, or jump back, and then lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Jump back through, legs come in front of you. Tiryang Mukha Kapata Paschimottanasana. So internal rotation of the leg to fold it back. Keep the knee in line with the hip, but they don't have to be together. If it feels good and safe here, you can fold over. You can also fold back if that feels better, and take some breaths laying back and then seated and then folding forward, or just staying upright in this position. That's a great option as well. Inhale, lengthen the spine, take a breath, and then plant the hands and jump back to move through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, press back, and then jump through. This time, the left leg folds back. Top of the foot is on the mat. If that knee feels safe, you can fold over the straight leg that still has strength, pressing through that heel. Back is nice and flat, and lower belly is engaged and drawn back. If at any point a posture feels really nice and you do want to hold it for longer, it's not traditional, but you're always welcome to pause the video and hold it a little bit longer. Play with some variations that feel good there. This is your practice. On your inhale, gaze towards the toes, and then rise up. Step back. Inhale. Strengthen those hands, protect the wrists as you move through your upward and then downward facing dog to come back to seated. Right leg draws, your right foot draws into the left inner thigh, coming into Janu Shirshasana A. You want a slight twist in your thoracic spine. Your pelvis does not need to be square though. If that feels good, you can fold over that straight leg. Make sure the extended leg is stable but not locked. Knee here is at a 90-degree angle out from the side, heels to the pubic bone. Lengthen out those exhales. On your inhale, gaze towards the toes, and then rise up. Plant the hands or skip it if you'd like. Always that option. Inhale, rise. Exhale, tuck the toes, press the hips back, and then float back through. Moving to the other side, Janu Shirshasana A on the left side. So that left bottom of the foot is pressing on the right inner thigh. Find length in the spine before folding over that straight leg. Abdominals are engaged here so that we protect the back. And relax your shoulders, neck is long. Slightly working that twist, opposite rib to the opposite knee. Another breath, and then inhale halfway. Rise up, plant your hands, jump back, you know what to do. Lower down, inhale, upward facing dog, really feel the length. And then press back to downward facing dog, and then jump through, moving to Janu Shirshasana B. So the heel comes right, I want to say onto your bum. It's right by your butt hole. You want to sit on your heel. Internal rotation of the femur. Mula Bandha is engaged here. Lengthen up and then fold over that straight leg. Come back to the breath. The wind took charge here and knocked our video camera over, so sorry if you noticed that. Just stay with it. And keep following Brandon's pace here as he moves through. One more breath. And then plant the hands, jump back, move through a vinyasa. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, lengthen the spine, press through your downward facing dog, and then jump through. Other side, Janu Shirshasana B, left leg, or sorry, your right leg comes, no, it is your left leg, comes in. Sit right on your heel, and then fold over that straight leg. Yep. Bent leg is out, about 45-degree angle. One more breath. You're doing great. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant the hands, jump or step back. Lower down, strong core. Rise up. Tuck the toes, press back, and jump back through to seated. Janu Shirshasana C this time. So grab around your foot, invert the foot, and press the heel into the opposite inner thigh. Inhale to lengthen your spine, and then exhale, fold over that straight leg. If the postures are a little bit confusing, don't worry too much about it. Just find a variation that feels good in your body, and maybe this will give you a little inspiration to look a little bit more deeply into what these postures can offer us. Halfway lift, and then plant the hands. Jump back, rinse it out with a vinyasa. Inhale, lengthen the spine, keep that belly engaged as you press back, and then jump through. Pressing the heel into the opposite inner thigh. Extend the leg out long. And fold over that straight leg. Another modification for C is to just sit on the heels with the toes tucked under. It can feel quite intense, but it's working a similar action in that foot and the Achilles tendon. Coming back to the breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, rise up. Plant the hands. Jump or step back. Lower down. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Press back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Jump back through. And try switching which foot is forward each time that you do this. Moving into Marichyasana A. So the right leg the right foot plants on the ground. Your knee is pointing up towards the sky. Hip is open like you're doing a deep squat, and the heel is close to the pelvis. Allow the hip to open, and then forward fold, reach around that bent knee, and see if you can bind your hands behind your back. It's okay if the sit bone on the right side lifts a little bit. Inhale, rise up. Cycle through a vinyasa if you have the energy and the form is still good. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Jump through. This time the left leg comes in, left foot plants on the ground. The right arm can come behind you for support as you rise up. And then bring the left arm outside your left knee to bind behind your back. The extended leg is working internally a little bit here. And make sure your spine is nice and long. Using your breath to calm your mind. One more. Inhale, gaze towards your toes. And then rise up, release the bind, plant your hands and cycle through. Rinse it out. Strong legs for your upward facing dog. Strong arms, press through your downward facing dog, and then jump back through. Legs come in front of you. Marichyasana B. So we'll find lotus with our right leg. Option here is to do a figure 4. If you're in lotus, you can reach forward with your right arm, bind it around that right leg, and see if you can get your hands working towards each other. Keeping the sit bone down as best you can. Twist is coming through the thoracic spine here, so the upper mid spine. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant the hands, jump back, lower down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Come back through, find Marichyasana B on the other side. So the left leg comes into half lotus or figure 4. Left arm comes forward and around the outside of that left knee. And the right arm can come behind your back to bind with the left. The knee and foot can be fairly wide here to allow the shoulder some space to fold. Try not to collapse. Just fold the chin forward. Always make sure that you have room for a nice deep breath. With these binds, it can be really helpful to wrap low and bind high. Gives you a little bit more space. One more breath. Release the bind. Cycle through. Jump back. Strong core, lower down. Rise up on your inhale, tuck the toes, press back. We'll meet back in a seated position for Marichyasana C. So right foot is planting down on the ground like it was for Marichyasana A, but this time we're twisting the other direction. So your arm can come behind you to prop you up. The left arm will bind around that right leg and twist open to the side. If it feels better to just do a unbound version, you can plant your right arm behind you and just do a little stop sign up with your left hand to help the twist. Please be very mindful of your spine with these binds. They can be quite intense. And we're moving fairly quickly here, so give yourself time to work through them, or if you want to just watch through the options this first round of the video, then you can always take that option. Just use it as kind of an educational point. Cycle through and bring your left foot in. Left foot plants onto the ground. Left knee up towards the sky. And then open up to the left side, chest coming out to the left for your twist on this side. Breathe into the back side of the body, lower abdomen and pelvic floor is active. If you do notice that your breathing is not deep, then please come out of the posture, as this can cause some health issues in the future. Release, unwind, cross the legs, plant the hands, flow back. Strength as you lower down, open the collarbones to rise up, and then press back into your downward facing dog. Take a breath and then jump through. Legs come in front of you, moving to Marichyasana D. So the left leg will come into lotus. This one you're going to turn to the right side. Bring your left arm around that right knee and then twist and bind if you're able. Spine is tall. Try not round too much here. If you have any knee pain, please come out of the posture. This one takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. Don't push too hard to get into it. It's not worth it. Release the posture, jump back, cycle through, and then come back to seated from Marichyasana D on the other side. This is a gateway pose. It is one of the more difficult postures in half primary, if not the most difficult one in my opinion. So take your time, use your breath to move into the twist. Don't worry about the bind. It's better to move in stages and take your time. Do some prep work. If you have any questions, you can always comment. Another breath here in whatever version of this posture that you have. And then release. Maybe do a counter twist if it feels good. Plant the hands, float back, and lower down to rinse it out. Press back to downward facing dog, jump through, and we're gonna move to Navasana, boat pose. So you wanna sit between your sacrum and your tailbone here. Make sure that you're not just holding this posture with your legs. You wanna really feel it in your core. Legs can be bent or straight. Straight is a little bit more challenging. Arms parallel to the floor, shoulders relaxed. On your next breath, you can cross your legs, lift your hips up, and then come back into it. We'll do 5 rounds here. You can play with different heights of boat if you want. Low boat can be a little bit more challenging for the lower abdominals. Keeping the face nice and soft, collarbones broad, chest proud. Plant your hands, cross your legs, lean forward. See if you can lift your hips and your feet off the ground, and then come back in for round 3. Legs are together but not rigid. You can bend the knees again as an option. Upper abdomen is free. Lower abdomen is on. You got this. Plant your hands, cross your legs, lift the hips, lift the feet. Come back into another round. We took the option of low boat here, so give it a try if you're feeling playful. Stick to what you know if you like the traditional method. Try not to look as angry as we do in the video. Plant the hands, cross the legs, rise up, and very last one, you got it. Navasana round 5. Are you ready to have a 6-pack? Keep breathing nice and deep. Plant the hands, cross the legs, see if you can wiggle those legs through, jump back, and cycle through. Really feeling the release in your upward facing dog. Lengthen the low back, strong legs. Move through your downward facing dog and then jump through. So we're moving now into the closing sequence, coming into Urdhva Dhanurasana, or Urdhva Dhanurasana if you're coming into bridge first. We'll do 3 rounds here. Your heels are far enough away so you can just graze them with your fingertips. Knees are drawing in towards each other as if you have an imaginary block between your legs. Hips rise up. And make sure that you have enough space to breathe here, so don't collapse into your neck. Your hands can be next to your sides, pressing into the mat. If you'd like to clasp your hands behind your back, you can lower down, take a moment, and then rise up for your second round. Maybe if you had your hands next to you, you can clasp them behind your back. If your back feels ready, you can press into your wheel posture. Ribs are in, hamstrings on, and the glutes are helping, but you don't need to have them rock solid. See if you can relax your glutes a little bit. Heels are down to help press the pelvis towards the sky. Lower down, take a breath. And then if you feel ready and it is safe for you and it's in your practice, you can move into a wheel or come up for a 3rd bridge pose. Inhale, you can press up. And your arms are above your head. Place your hands, your fingers come towards your feet if you're in wheel. Hip and spinal extension here. Lots of strength in the legs, and make sure you're breathing. Whenever you're ready, whenever your body's calling for it, come out of the posture. If back bends feel really good, take that option to pause the video, take your time, maybe do another one. And then when you're ready, you can rock and roll along your spine and then jump back into a plank, lower down. Be gentle with yourself on this up dog. Maybe just come into a sphinx if it feels a little too intense. and then press back into a downward facing dog. Jump back through, legs out in front of you, moving into Salamba Sarvangasana. Oh, I lied, I'm sorry. We're coming back into forward fold here, Paschimottanasana. So this one is 10 breaths. Take your time to find length and then fold over those legs. Hips are square. Lengthen the spine and the neck. Really lengthen your exhales. Tell your nervous system to settle. Start to calm here. Keep those feet and legs active, pressing the heels down into the mat. If you'd like to find a little bit deeper of a variation, please do so. Keep a slight bend in your knees if you feel that that's necessary. And just release tension where there doesn't need to be any tension. So jaw, the neck, the shoulders. Strength and ease. Inhale, halfway lift, and then rise up and lower right down onto your back. Moving that now into Salamba Sarvangasana, shoulder stand. So your hips can roll over top of your shoulders. Support your your mid back with your hands, and then bring your legs right up in front of you. You want your heels stacked over your hips, stacked right over your shoulders. Careful not to rest on C7, so you don't want pressure in the neck, and you definitely don't want to turn your head here. So just listen to my voice if you can't see the video, or come down, look at the posture that we're in, and then move into your version of it. Weight is in the elbows and the top of the shoulders here to keep the neck safe. Breathe nice and deep. Know that you can always come out at any point if it doesn't feel good. And then when you're ready, bring your legs over top of your head, moving into Halasana. So the toes can come onto the ground, tops of the feet on the ground or the mat. I'm not setting a great example in this video, but you want to use your shoulders to keep your neck safe. I'm trying to block the sun from my eyes, so. Hips here still just above your shoulders. Another breath. The final closing sequence, we hold the postures for a little bit longer to allow our nervous system to settle. I'm going to move into Karnapindasana, ear pressure pose. Separate the knees, bring them towards the ground. Make sure you still have length in the front body and you can breathe nice and free. If you're able to block the external sound with your knees, that can feel really nice. And if it's accessible, you can even bring your feet together here. Another couple of breaths. And inhale, raise your legs up, coming into a lotus here, or your version of. You can press into your knees with your hands. The weight is resting on your shoulders here. Core is engaged. Spine is extended even though you're flipped upside down. If lotus isn't available, you can always just cross your legs. Again, be mindful of the neck. This posture can take a long time to refine, so be patient with yourself. If it feels good, you can press the hands to the knees and the knees to the hands to engage the abdomen a little bit more. And then move into Pindasana, embryo pose. So the knees hug towards your face. If you're able to wrap your arms around the legs, you can take that option, using the core to pull the knees in. Make sure there's no strain in the neck. If you can't wrap your arms around, you can just hold on to the legs or keep your hands on your back. Pressurize yourself with your arms as you slowly lower down, moving into Matsyasana, fish pose. So allow the head to lift as the knees come down. The pubic bone is towards the floor, tailbone down, and the top of the head comes towards the mat. Legs are staying in Padmasana, lotus here, or crossed. Heart lifts, breath is full. The arms can work towards straight here, fingers wrapping around the toes. Most importantly, the breath. On your inhale, you can release the legs, move into Uttana Padasana, so the head stays, the crown of the head on the mat. Legs can lengthen out long. You want them a little bit lower than Navasana. You don't want them too high. Keep the lower abdomen engaged, and arms and legs are both coming out straight. If there's not enough strength to hold this posture safely, then just come out and check out the video, watch, and come back to it. You can release, plant your hands. We'll jump back to cycle that all out. So lower down, inhale, rise up, Urdhva Mukha, exhale, Adho Mukha. If you have Shirshasana, headstand in your practice, you can clasp your hands, pressurize your arms, grab onto the back of your head, and then find your version of headstand. So the elbows and wrists are pressing down into the ground here. There's little to no weight in the head. I've got a little bit of a back bend here. You really want to try and take that out. So nice and strong in the back body. Tuck the front ribs in. Abdomen's engaged and the hips are right over the shoulders. Legs are strong. And watch that the hands don't supinate. So if they do, that might mean that your shoulders have collapsed a little bit. Just come out at any point that it doesn't feel really solid. If you're able to, hold for a few more breaths. If you feel the need to come out, you can come into a child's pose for a few breaths. And if you have been holding and you want to come down to halfway, you can lower your legs to a 90-degree angle. Make sure that as you shift here, you keep the weight out of your head. Pressure in the arms. Another breath or two. Rise back up and then slowly lower, come down as you came into the posture. Take rabbit's pose or child's pose. Roll the neck a little bit. Forward and back, nice and light. Bring your arms in front of you, come into a strong plank, and lower down, open the chest broad for upward facing dog, and then press back through the arms, downward facing dog. Jump the legs through, last few postures here, moving into Yoga Mudra. So you'll find lotus or crossed legs. Find length in your spine. Find the bind behind your back if you're able. So arms crossed behind your back, reaching towards the opposite big toe with your peace fingers. And then exhale, chin towards the mat. Be here for 5 to 10 breaths. Really starting to lengthen out those exhales. If you have made it this far, you have done amazing. And even if you're just watching, it's a great start. Hopefully it's given you some inspiration to look into the practice a little bit more. Ashtanga is quite a challenging practice, so if there is a studio near you, I really encourage you to go and check it out. It's really nice to have a teacher there to actually talk you through and maybe even physically help you through some of the postures. So inhale, rise up, come into Padmasana. So this is a meditative type posture. A lot of people say that our asana practice, that physical practice, is all just to help us sit comfortably in a meditative posture. So see how much you can let your mind settle here. Chin slightly tucked. Straighten the arms and fingers out long. And soften that face. Another few breaths here. Last posture here, Utplitihi. So final bit of work. Press into your hands, lift your hips and feet off the mat if it's available. If not, then just press into the mat with the intention of lifting your hips and your feet off the mat. Your hands root, chest is proud, shoulders are down. Press, 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 lift, 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 strong core. Five to 10 breaths. You got it. When you're ready, lower down. Cycle through one final vinyasa. So inhale, upward facing dog. Tuck the toes, press back, really enjoy this final downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, you can jump through and lower down for your final rest, corpse pose or shavasana. So start to relax the breathing, relax the face. Stay here for 5 to 10 minutes if you're able. Use this time to calm your nervous system, lower the heart rate and breathing. Always an option to take constructive rest and bend the knees if that feels better for you. But just take some time for your body to settle and to soak up the benefits of the practice. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, trying it out, pushing yourself. Namaste. If you have any comments, if you want to share this video, give it a like. We really appreciate all your support. Thank you guys so much.